Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, Nigerian military takes responsibility for Kaduna accidental bombing as Nigeria Air Force denies fatal operation. Parents of abducted university students protest in Zamfara. Controversy over Nigeria's delegation to COP28 rages on. Federal government says it sponsored 442 people. On the foreign scene, Nigeria revokes military accord with European Union. Hello and welcome to Trust News Hour. I am Abdurrahman Omar. Thanks for joining. Now, over 50 villagers were reported killed by accidental military airstrikes at Tudunbiri in Chikun local government area of Kaduna State. The victims were celebrating Maulud on Sunday at the village when they were hit by the airstrike. Trustee Bisbella Musa completes the story.
These are victims of Tudunbiri who were hit by airstrike receiving treatment at the emergency ward of Barodiko teaching hospitals. They narrated their experience from the incident. I was inside my house when I heard a loud bang. When I came out, I realized that it was an airstrike. Some people died instantly, while the injured persons were being moved to Buruku Hospital. Another strike hit the people who were rescuing other injured, and they died as well. My daughter, her children, and my uncle all died. So far, we have recovered about 80 dead bodies. We brought about 48 persons who are injured, including my daughters, Firdausi, Sadia, and my son, Ashiru, to this hospital.
We were observing Maulud when the airstrike hit us. Many died and many others were injured. We ran and entered our houses before the second strike hit and killed mostly youths.
After meeting with the deputy governor and security agencies at the Sir Kashim Ibrahim House, the Jama'atul Nasrul Islam and Fitianul Islam, while briefing journalists, appealed for compensation to be paid to the victims.
So we heard what the government said, and the government has apologized on behalf of the security personnel that carried out the exercise. So we here, as the traditional rulers of that area and the Islamic leaders, have listened to the government.
We learned that there was bad incidents happened in the Regasa village, where people yesterday were gathering for Maulud, and there was airstrike on them. So many people were killed. Not less than 50 people were killed in that incident.
Although government has promised to pay the bills of the injured, we are, however, hopeful that they will compensate affected families. The Kaduna State government, through the overseer, Ministry of Internal Security Samuel Awan, while addressing journalists after the security meeting at the Kaduna Government House, described the incident as unfortunate, saying the Nigerian army was on routine mission against terrorists in the area when the incident happened.
The GOC 1 Division, Nigerian Army, Major General V.U. Okoro, explained that the Nigerian Army was on a routine mission against terrorists, but unfortunately, some members of the Tudunbiri community were affected. Search and rescue efforts are still ongoing as dozens of injured victims have been evacuated to Barrow Diko Teaching Hospital by the government.
Earlier, the Nigerian Air Force, in a statement by its Director of Public Relations, Air Commodore Edward Gafquet, said NAF has not undertaken any air operations in Kaduna State in the last 24 hours. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
In the meantime, parents of the abducted students of the Federal University of Gombe in Zamfara State have staged a peaceful protest at the government house demanding the unconditional release of their children. They want Governor Dauda Lawal and security agencies to rescue their children who have been in captivity for 72 days unhurt. No fewer than 24 students of the university, 10 construction workers, a staff of the university and his daughter were kidnapped on September 22nd. This year in Sabangida, a community hosting the main campus of the university. However, 13 students and 3 construction workers have been rescued while others are still in captivity. The protesters vowed to remain at the Zamfara State Government House until their children are released. They said the abductors have contacted some of them and that the only condition they gave was to have negotiation with the government.
We complained to the DC after meeting with him about 2 months back. He said there is nothing he can do in this issue. To our own surprise, even today, they are able to now make exams in the school. When our daughters are there, we don't know their condition. Actually, you can see us. We are nobody. Nobody look at us as a human being. Because if it is the daughter of, let's say, councillor, something must have happened. Let's say council, just the last stage of this policy, something will have been done. But why is this that? Because we don't know, nobody knows. The government is not doing anything. The school is not doing anything. The DC says there is nothing it can do. What I'm saying is, and the school is moving. What I'm telling you is just almost about 2 weeks now, they are going to do their exams.
Almost 3 months now, and we want them to be back. They said they don't want anything from the parent. They don't want to sit with the parent. It's only the governor that they want to sit to discuss with him how they are going to bring back our children. They say if governor did not sit with them, they are not going to bring back our children. Then why is it that governor doesn't want to sit with them? People have been saying, they say, up to now I didn't hear even a word that comes out from governor. This is what governor said about these children. So we come here to plead the governor. He should please and please, for the sake of Allah, he should try all his possible best to see that he brings.
In a related development, the parents of the 5 children abducted in Angwan Kabari of Shandam local government area of Plateau State have explained how their children were kidnapped by their next-door neighbor. According to the parents, they were shocked to realize that their neighbor was responsible for the act, despite being good to all the tenants in the house, including their children. Trust TV Ado Musa visited the house of the victims, and now he reports.
I'm currently in the house popularly known as Dogongida, located at Angwankabari community of Shandal local government area of Plateau State, where a woman kidnapped 5 children of her next door neighbor, but was intercepted in Lafia, Nasarawa State on their way to Abuja. Let us hear how the woman was able to kidnap the victims from their parents. This is a woman we trusted wholeheartedly. When she came to the house, we embraced each other because she was kind to everyone, and this endeared our children to her. She usually took them outside to buy biscuits for them, and even started offering them free additional lessons in her room. We trusted her because she used to go out and return with them. However, on the last day she went out with them, we had no idea she had planned to kidnap them. It was a shock for us to hear that she had abducted the children. A taxi driver who was hired to take the victims and their kidnapper to Abuja explains how he rescued the abductees. I was scheduled to take them from Shandam, but my vehicle was already full. The other driver who transported them from Shandam agreed to hand them over to me in Lafia, since my passengers were also disembarking there. Upon arriving at Lafia with the children now in my vehicle, one of them suddenly addressed me as uncle. I was surprised to see a girl I had known before now. I observed that all the children spoke Hausa, while the woman leading the journey didn't, which raised suspicion. I promptly reported the situation to some nearby soldiers. However, before we could return with the soldiers, the woman had already fled. Some of the parents expressed delight following the recovery of their kids. I was worried when the news of the abduction came to me. I found it difficult to understand how she successfully managed to kidnap the children. But I am delighted my child is back. I thank God and all those who participated in the recovery process. We believe she was a good mother. That is why we allow our children to be close to her. We were deeply worried, while I in particular was in tears because she took my only son. This has taught us a profound lesson, and we are relieved that they are back. Kidnapping for ransom, child abduction and human trafficking have sadly become increasingly common in Nigeria. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Vandals have continued to loot the Oshobo Steel Rolling Company despite its privatization by the federal government. The Commissioner of Police in the state, Ishaq Mohammed, said some of the vandals were apprehended with armored cables and other items looted from the company. Hamid Oibari filed in the report.
After the privatization policy of the federal government, the hope of the people of Osho State was that the moribund steel rolling company in Oshobo will bounce back and contribute to the economic growth, especially by generating employment opportunities for the youths. But the hope was dashed as the company remains inactive several years after the privatization, with residents calling for a review of the policy. Meanwhile, funders are taking the advantage of the situation to loot the company. I followed someone to the place. It was when we got there that he told me that we came to steal armored cables. We went to the steel rolling company to steal cables and wires. It's my first time of going with them. On Saturday, that was 3 days ago, I went to the steel rolling company at 4 a.m. to steal those cables. While returning from the place, I saw policemen who shot the tire of my car. The Commissioner of Police in the state, Ishaq Mohammed, said the suspects will be charged to court upon the completion of investigation.
Of course, they have accepted, they have confessed their offense. Investigation is ongoing. They mentioned some other people. We are on their trail, and they will soon be arrested and charged to court.
The residents are hoping that the federal government will review the privatization policy and make the company function again. Amid Oyegbade, Trust TV News, Oshobo.
Nigeria's tertiary institutions continue to face a mountain of challenges that are linked to a decline in the quality of education and productivity in the soft sector. Manpower shortages and welfare-related issues are further compounding the already existing critical situation as stakeholders put the spotlight on the federal government while calling for a robust action plan to reform the system. Habiba Dajayi has more to this story.
Education remains the leading indicator of how well a country is growing and developing as Nigeria continues to play catch-up due to its falling education system. The current Japa phenomenon has seen a surge in the number of Nigerian lecturers leaving the country in search of a better pay and service conditions abroad. Labor-related concerns and gaps in effective management have seen Nigeria lose thousands of well-trained academics over the years.
It is no longer a news that there is a shortage, but let me put it, there is equally what I can call acute shortage. Yeah, and if the situation was not remedied in a quick time, it will get to a level that will be having programs that has students, and they will just discover one day they don't have any lecturer in that program.
The way and manner government handled the last strike, in particular, every other strike, but particularly the last strike, actually outraged many of our colleagues. We felt and we still feel highly mistreated, shabbily treated, manhandled and so on.
Professor Umar Kari emphasizes the necessity for government commitment and accountability, while urging parents to take a leading role in advocating better service delivery as students ultimately face the repercussions of a failed system.
Parents should have to brace up. They are going to pay through their noses. Parents demonstrated unbelievable lack of understanding towards ASU and what ASU stands for. And now they are going to bear the brunt of it, because right from the period that the strike collapsed, okay, that was about a year ago, okay, to now, fees charged by public universities have increased. Some have doubled, some tripled, and the thing will only get worse.
Year in, year out, we may likely be producing students that are not having the right skills to turn around the economy. Indirectly, the government just needs to understand the concept of investment in education.
The nexus between quality education and economic progress have been well established, and if Nigeria is to take significant progress in repositioning the trajectory of the most populous black nation in the world, the time for action is long overdue. Habiba Tajayi, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Now, the 2023 presidential candidate of the Labour Party, LP, Peter Obi, has faulted a 15 billion naira allocation for the construction of a new residence for the nation's vice president in a post on X, formerly Twitter. The ex-governor of Anambra State said Nigerians need leaders who are willing to make sacrifice for the nation's development. According to Obi, such compassionate and frugal leaders are critical in the journey to a new Nigeria. Last Wednesday, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, said 15 billion naira will be spent for the construction of a new residence for the vice president. The minister disclosed this when he appeared before a House of Representatives committee to defend FCT's 61.5 billion naira 2023 supplementary budget. Obi, in his post on Monday, wondered what was wrong with the country for budgeting 15 billion naira for the construction of a new residence for the vice president, saying the action is both shocking and disheartening, considering the many important challenges facing the nation. In the meantime, tensions continue to simmer in the aftermath of the appeal court judgments over the governorship elections in Kano, Plateau, Nasarawa and Zamfara State, respectively. As the tensions rise in the build-up to the Supreme Court verdict, citizens are drawing attention on the need for the judicial system to deliver justice at all costs. Dokas Yakubu reports.
Days after protests followed what many described as controversial verdicts, the apprehension across Kano, Plateau, Nasarawa and Zamfara State over the election litigation is unsettling the political atmosphere. Women of Wasa and Madala community in the FCT have expressed concern over the credibility of the judicial process as they advocate justice for the survival of Nigeria's democracy.
From all this corruption where they are doing in Kano, it's Abba Gida Gida. The owner of the seat, then come collect to Abba, we are not happy.
We are calling on the government to do justice and declare Abba Kabir Yusuf as the governor of Kano State. We voted for him and we are certain he won the election. He pays school fees for the poor people and even sponsors their education abroad. We want justice to prevail.
Improvements in the place. Something good in that place. so that if he's back, I think something better will come out of it.
The outcomes of litigations over the 2023 elections have divided opinions of Nigerians who question the verdicts delivered by the courts. The police and other security agencies have been working overtime to prevent the breakdown of law and order after protests by the political supporters in the affected states. Dorcas Yakubu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
In a sad development, 5 persons have been confirmed dead and 11 others injured in a fatal auto crash along the Calabar-Itu Highway in Cross River State. The accident was between a Nissan Caravan with a registration number GWB532XY and a Mark truck with no registration number. This was according to a statement issued by the sector commander of the Federal Road Safety Corps, Akwa Ibom's Command, Matthew Olonisai. The statement signed by the Public Enlightenment Officer of the Command, Paul James, attributed the cause of the accident to speeding, adding that the accident could have been avoided if the motorist had adhered to safety regulations. This is Trust TV News Hour. Coming up ahead. Kankia residents lament alleged underpayment by Transmission Company of Nigeria. Details of these and more after the break. Please stay with us.
That's right. You too could be one of the 20 Zenith Bank customers that will win 150,000 Naira every 2 weeks from June 1st, 2023 until May 31st, 2024 in the Zenith Better Life Promo 3. To qualify, simply open a Zenith Bank account. For more information, visit www.zenithbank.com/betterlife. Live the better life with Zenith Bank.
Welcome to Trust TV, where we document the Nigerian story. Our programming showcases the rich culture and diversity of Nigeria. We strive to amplify the voices that make our nation unique. Our programming is designed to take you on a journey through the different tastes of entertainment in our country. We showcase the best of Nigerian culture, from traditional craft to cutting-edge technology. Our team of expert journalists are dedicated to unveiling the intricacies of our culture and telling the untold stories that binds us all. And let's not forget the food. Nigeria has diverse and flavorful cuisines, some of the favorites to millions across the world. What is Nigeria without its people, their passions and their talent? Trust TV is not just a channel, it's a platform that brings you closer to everything that makes Nigeria great. Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is the news hour on Trust TV, and here is a recap of some of our top stories. Nigerian military takes responsibility for Kaduna accidental bombing as Nigeria Air Force denies fatal operation. And parents of abducted university students protest in Zamfara. Now to other stories. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Muhammad Idris, has clarified that the federal government funded 422 persons to the ongoing COP28 climate summit in Dubai, the United Arab Emirates. The minister made this known in a statement on Monday following a controversy that Nigerian registered delegates at the summit were 1,411. President Bola Tinubu had on November 29, 2023 departed Abuja for Dubai for the summit expected to end on December 12, 2023. Controversy has since surrounded the number of Nigerian delegates at the summit, which ranked that of China, with many Nigerians on social media berating the government for being insensitive to their economic sufferings occasioned by the removal of petrol subsidy in mid-2023. Providing clarity on the controversy, the minister said Nigeria's representation is very much aligned with the country's status as Africa's leading sovereign voice and player in climate action. The government said the Nigerian delegation include government officials, representatives from the private sector, civil society, the voluntary sector, state governments, media, multilateral institutions, representatives of marginalized communities, and many others. Now, commuters in Imo State are beginning to express dissatisfaction with the hike in transport fares in the state. This is because most commuter bus drivers have increased their fares, a situation residents say they are not comfortable with anymore. Ajibade Press was on the streets of Owerri, the state capital, from where he felt in this report.
It is not news that the increment in fuel pump price has also affected the transportation fare in the state. Residents from all walks of life who make use of commercial transportation in the state have continued to lament over the hike in price of their transportation, especially those who have cause to move on daily basis. Transporters in the state have all increased their charges to double the initial amount, and in some cases triple. This is one development the public transport users are not finding funny.
From me coming from J into Junction to here now cost me about 200. I even have to bargain with the driver to get for 200 because he was telling me 250 from into Junction. Before now we enter the vehicle on 100 naira level.
We are lamenting.
Like where you are going to now, how much do you used to go there before, and how much are you using now?
But now it's 150. I don't know. It's something else.
Masses have been complaining deeply due to the increasement of the fuel rates, and the drivers, if you're just approaching or maybe moving towards a short distance, a distance that will normally pay for 50 or 100 naira this time around, they keep asking you to pay 150 or 200 naira just because of the increasement of the fuel.
Some of the drivers who spoke on the matter said they are equally not happy with the development, adding that they also suffer the same fate. According to them, most of the money they make goes back to fueling their cars, considering the high cost of fuel, leaving them with little or nothing to meet their family needs.
It's very difficult for us to make to beat up with the price these days. The high cost of the fuel is affecting us seriously. All the days when we get our business done, at the end of it, you see that we don't have anything. They gave it, we struggle and we go to give them back to the filling station people.
The residents also expressed bitterness over the failure of government to provide solution to the problem, despite several calls on them to look into the matter.
Because if everybody is clamoring and everybody is shouting and saying, and government to, but everything keeps on increasing. Everything keeps on, getting worse. I can't even express it anymore. So I don't know if you can depend on the government anymore.
From the passengers to the drivers, the story is the same. The cost of transportation is very high in the state. And of course, this was triggered by the hike in the fuel pump price. They are calling on government to see a way they can ameliorate these menace. Ajibade praise. Trust TV News, Owerri.
The Kebbi State Ministry for Special Duties, in collaboration with the Ministry of Women Affairs, Kebbi State has commemorated with the people living with disabilities in the state to mark the International Day of People Living with Disabilities in the state. In his remarks at the celebration, the Commissioner of Information and Culture, Kebbi State, Yaqub Ahmed, emphasized the need for the society to treat persons with disabilities without discrimination. He noted that disability should never be a basis for exclusion or prejudice.
We owe it a duty as politicians and citizens to offer helping hand to them, because I have since realized that one of their cardinal objectives is to equip their members beyond begging and depend on themselves through access to education and skills acquisition. I'm happy to say here that APC administration of Dr. Nasser Idris has made it clear from the onset that empowerment and inclusivity of all citizens, including persons with disabilities, is a top priority. Efforts are on by the Kebbi State government to channel resources towards upgrading skills acquisition centers, access to agricultural loans, and collaboration with international and national donor agencies to make accessibility to resources easier and within reach, so that persons with disabilities, women, and other vulnerable groups will gain access to fight despondency and economic exclusivity.
I'm very excited today, and each and every person with disability in Kebbi State is happy about that, because this is the first time in the history of Kebbi State the top government officials attended the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. We have expectation from government, because we were promised we are going to include into the government appointments and also political positions across the Kebbi State.
In a but related development, the Benue State Governor Babagana Zulum says his administration is committed to ensuring that people living with disabilities have equal rights to education, healthcare, vocational training and employment, among others. Governor Zulum stated this during the commemoration of the International Day of People with Disability in Maiduguri. The governor, who was represented by the Commissioner for Intergovernmental and Special Duties, Ibrahim Tukur, noted that the state government has implemented policies and initiatives to promote the inclusion of PWDs and eliminate discrimination against them. The theme for this year's World Day of Disabled Persons is Renewing Hope Together for Disability Inclusive Societies.
In line with our pragmatic policy initiative, we have taken significant strides to ensure the inclusion of persons with disability in our society. Our efforts encompasses accessible infrastructure, inclusive education, vocational training, and employment opportunities. Yet we acknowledge that there is still much work to be done.
Again, over 700 women with disabilities were trained in poultry farming and supported with chicks, feeds, and hatchery machines in MMC and JRA local government areas. This we did in collaboration with Catholic Relief Service. In the last 5 years of the administration of His Excellency, Professor Babagana Umar Zulum, all distributions of palliatives and startup kits by his wife, our First Lady, Her Excellency Dr. Falmata Babagana Umar Zulum, has always reserved a certain percentage for people living with disabilities. This is also reflected in political representations, where from the ward, local government to state levels, people living with disabilities occupy political positions.
To the policymakers, we urge you to enact laws that protect the right and individual with disability, ensuring equal access to education, employment, and healthcare. To educators, we implore you to embrace inclusive practices, creating classrooms that nurture the talents of every student regardless of their abilities. To the employers, we challenge you to open your doors to the diverse talent of individuals with disability, creating workplaces that embrace their neurodiversity and foster innovation.
And now on to security matters, as efforts to get rid of criminal activities across Nasarawa State have continued to yield results, as the State Police Command has arrested 18 suspects for allegedly committing different offences. Acting Commissioner of Police Shatima Mohammed stated this while parading the suspects in Lafia. Abubakar Abdullahi sent in the report as presented from our studio.
In its quest to archive his mandate of policing communities across the state, the Police Command in Nasarawa State has sustained efforts towards the actualization of a crime-free state. This is evident in the breakthrough the command made in recent times by arresting 18 suspects who allegedly commit different crimes in different parts of the state. Acting State Commissioner of Police Shatima Mohammed told journalists that these suspects were arrested with 7 assorted firearms and ammunition.
10 kidnappers arrested. We have 5. Number of armed robbery suspects arrested 10. Number of rape cases arrested 1. Suspected arrested for culpable homicide we have 2. Number of recovered firearms 7. Number of recovered ammunition 27. Total number of suspects arrested in total 18.
The acting commissioner of police explained that among the various crimes that led to the arrest of the suspects was the serving and killing of one Mohammed Sani by his family members.
Based on credible information that one Mohammed Sani M of Gyaraku Tofa was tied on both hands and legs, locked in a room where he was starved to death, and he was hurriedly by his family buried him in a shallow grave without the knowledge of the security agencies, without the knowledge of the police.
Mohammed explained that a 21-year-old Habu Yusuf was apprehended for defiling a 5-year-old minor, adding that in the course of investigation, the same suspect was found to have sexually molested 2 of his nieces. He said the suspects would be charged to court after completion of investigations. The acting commissioner maintained that the command would continue to collaborate with other security agencies to keep crime and criminals out of the state.
And now, away from security matters, a diesel tanker on Monday went up in flames at the Ojota Inward Interchange. The incident was confirmed by the Lagos State Traffic Management Authority, LASMA, via X, formerly Twitter, where it stated that its personnel had been deployed to the scene. At the time of this report, the cause of the explosion, as well as the level of casualty, remains unknown. The Lagos State Fire and Rescue Service also confirmed the incident, noting that the flames had been brought under control. One of the setbacks of the last administration in Benue State under former Governor Samuel Otom was the irregularity in the payment of salaries and pensions. 6 months into the administration of Governor Alia, Benue residents say the story has now changed. Jimmy Azendi completes the story.
One of the cardinal points of Governor Alia's inaugural speech was the pledge to provide fresh air for serving and retired civil servants.
To all Benue workers, please listen to me. Yes. All verified arrears of salaries, pensions and gratuity are paid promptly me without further delay.
According to residents, the governor has made good that promise as he is giving the workers their dues accordingly.
Outcry of what we were facing before during the previous administration discovered that a lot were not well with civil servants. They were suffering various kinds of stress. The payment of salary were not due. Some months we wait till the months will end after 3 months before we will be able to see something. And even if they pay, there will be a lot of disruptions in it. But right now, what we have seen is a kind of God has here outcry, and there is a lot of positive changes.
My mother, who is a pensioner, her sole responsibility was me. Understand? I used to take her hospital bills, her everything, though it is stated. It is my duty to look after my mother. But we all know that as a worker, she has pension. There's a special scheme specially designed for them to be taken care of. The past administration really failed woefully in that it did not pay these people a dime for 4 years. 4 solid years they went unpaid, and all that burden was on me. But what is happening now? The first time this administration came in, the first month they were paid 2 salaries, two of their pension in 1 month.
For the working class and retirees of the Benue State, the situation has improved, save for the current cost of living occasioned by fuel subsidy removal and high inflation rates, which has strained workers' purchasing power. Jimmy Azandi, Trust TV News, Makurdi.
Residents of Kankia in Kano State have lamented what they described as gross shortage on the payment of compensation by the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, which mounted heavy equipment on their lands. Some of them are alleging that the TCN had, over the last 8 to 10 years, mounted heavy towers on their plots without proper compensation. Abdullahi Ahmadi, who recently visited Kankia, reports that the residents are alleging irregularities and lack of proper assessment and compensation to the affected people. His report.
Over 300 houses have been affected by the 300 kVA transmission line, which houses residents who are mostly voiceless, poor and low-income earners. They alleged that the compensation paid to some of the affected people cannot even pay 1 year rent, let alone buy another house for them.
There is one person who carries out his petty business in the southern part of the country. He knew that if he joined a bus or a vehicle, definitely there was every tendency for him to miss the payment. But he joined an airplane to Kano. From there, he took a drop to Katsina, which costed him more than 100,000 naira. Unfortunately, when he reached there, he was given 9,370 naira as his compensation. There are so many households who received less than 10,000 naira as their compensation.
My house is at least getting to 2 to 2.5 million. But now they give me at least 1,040,000, which is not allowing me to build another house.
Besides taking longer than the necessary time to settle the affected people, residents are blaming TCN for conniving with some elements in Kankia to shortchange the victims and are therefore calling on relevant authorities to intervene. Though the affected people are not against the 300 kVA transmission line project, all they are demanding is the review of the assessments and payments to ensure justice and fairness. Most of the affected people here are confused and afraid of the unknown, as they have been subjected to untold hardship for close to a decade. Among them is this widow and this visually impaired person with dozens of children under their care.
A tower was constructed in the house and inherited from my late husband, and TCN said I have not been captured because my name is missing from the list. I don't know what to do now because I am an orphan and my husband died leaving me behind with over 13 dependents. I appeal to you to tell our governor, as well as members of the state and national assemblies, to prevail on TCN to do the needful.
As for me, I was paid 66,000 naira only for my 2 houses that are affected by the transmission line project. This means that for each house, I was paid 33,000 naira compensation, which is grossly inadequate for me to pay rent anywhere in Kankia town. Kindly forward our appeal to Governor Dikorada to intervene and save us from this situation. The Transmission Company of Nigeria TCN Kano State Office, through its human resource personnel, said they are not authorized to speak to the press and advised Trust TV News to channel relevant questions to its headquarters in Abuja. Abdullahi Izumayamadi, Trust Television News, Kazana.
You're still watching News Hour on Trust TV. The news continues after this short break. Please stay with us.
What NAFDAC is doing is making sure we are safeguarding the health of the nation.
80 million people have been accounted for that have glaucoma worldwide.
The Nutrition Society of Nigeria is laying emphasis on exclusive breastfeeding of our babies.
The of kidney disease in children has also been rising, with an estimated 1 in 10 Nigerian children affected.
And that sometimes those products contain things that could harm you more than you would expect. So you would have long-term damage which could affect your health over time.
Intermittent fasting indeed is beneficial.
Hello and welcome to Creative Lounge on Trust TV. My name is Ahmed Mohammed Bello and I'm going to be taking you through my journey as an artist.
Welcome back. And now in business, the Debt Management Office DMO on Monday offered 2 federal government of Nigeria FGN savings bonds for subscription at 1,000 naira per unit. The first offer is a 2-year FGN savings bond due on December 13, 2025 at an interest rate of 4.287% per annum. The second offer is a 3-year FGN savings bond due on December 13, 2026 and at an interest rate of 13.287% per annum. The opening date for both offers is December 4th, while the closing date is December 8th, according to the DMO. The settlement date is December 13th, while coupon payment dates are March 13, June 13, September 13, as well as December 13th. The DMO assured that the bonds, like all other FGN securities, were backed by the full faith and credit of the federal government and charged upon the general assets of Nigeria. Let's now join Chamong the Bank for more business update.
Spotify, a music streaming service, on Monday revealed that it will be laying off 1,500 employees, or roughly 17% of its workforce, in an attempt to reduce expenses in the face of dramatically slower economic development. The statement comes after a remarkable quarterly net profit of 65 million euros in October, as opposed to a loss of 166 million euros in the same period the previous year, due to a 26% rise in active users to 574 million during the third quarter. Nigeria's trade surplus for third quarter of 2023 surged to 1.89 trillion naira as against the 1.25 trillion naira in the previous quarter. Additionally, Nigeria's overall trade by quarter 3 2023 was 18.8 trillion naira, up from 12.74 trillion naira in quarter 2 2023, according to the National Bureau of Statistics' most recent data on foreign trade in goods. The overall amount for exports and imports for the third quarter of this year was 10.35 trillion naira and 8.46 trillion naira respectively. A spike in trade activity in quarter 3 2023 is what is responsible for the increase from the previous quarter. As the dollar continues weakening in recent weeks due to growing expectations that the U.S. Federal Reserve may lower interest rates in the new year, gold reached a record high on Monday. The price of the precious metal, which is considered a safe haven investment, peaked at $2,135.39 per ounce. Profit-taking later set in, leaving it to trade at $2,069.01. The dollar was also firmer on Monday. Gold is benefiting also from the Israel-Hamas war. Gold is also benefiting from the Israel-Hamas war, according to analysts. That's all for business news. I am Chamun Dabing.
Away from Nigeria, Nigeria's ruling junta has revoked the country's military partnership with the European Union, the foreign ministry said on Monday, withdrawing its permission for an EU program set up to bolster security forces. The EU CAP Sahel Niger civilian mission was launched in 2012 to help the security forces fight militants and other threats. Around 120 Europeans are permanently deployed there, according to its website. Niger's junta, which took power in a coup in July, has also demanded the departure of French troops that were helping them to fight Islamist militants. Still on the international scene, the president of Guinea-Bissau, Umaru Embalo, on Monday issued a decree dissolving the parliament after an attempted coup in the West African nation. Violence had erupted between members of the National Guard and special forces of the Presidential Guard on Thursday night in the capital, Bissau, leaving 2 people dead before the army ordered its forces back to barracks. Mbalo, who was in Dubai attending the COP28 climate conference, arrived back in Bissau on Saturday and announced that an attempted coup d'etat had prevented him from returning earlier. On Monday, he said there had been complicity between the National Guard and certain political interest within the state apparatus. The date of forthcoming legislative elections will be set at the opportune moment, aligned with the Constitution, Embalo said in a communique. Since gaining independence from Portugal in 1974, the country has seen a series of coups and coup attempts. Elected to a 5-year term in December 2019, Embalo survived a bid to overthrow him in February 2022. And now finally on sports, for the latest in the world of sport, let's now join Emmanuel Fashemi for sports update.
The FIBA 3x Africa competition has ended in Egypt, with Team Nigeria finishing second to clinch the silver medal. Egypt completed a perfect run in the competition with a strong 18-15 win over an impressive Nigerian team. Ahmed Mohamed led his side in scoring with 7, while Mido Taha added 6. Ahmed Zahran capped off a 5-point display with a thunderous dunk to seal the tie in favor of the home side. Meanwhile, Nigeria's Robert Chima Okauba was named the team of the tournament alongside Rami Basha of Egypt, the tournament's top scorer Eli Randiamapiona of Madagascar. The draws for the International Cricket Council T20 Women's World Cup qualifier have been released, and Nigeria's female Yellow Greens have been paired in Group A. According to the draw, female Yellow Greens have been grouped alongside Rwanda, Namibia, and the host Uganda. Group B consists of Zimbabwe, Tanzania, Kenya, and Botswana. The qualifiers will take place from the 7th of December to 18th December 2023 in Kampala, Uganda. The Women's World Cup will take place in Bangladesh in September of 2024. After suffering defeat in Ghana, the head coach of Rivers United, Sterling Egoma, has promised that his team will bounce back stronger. The Nigerian representative suffered a 2-1 defeat to Dreams FC in the second match of the CAF Confederations Cup in Kumasi. Egoma reeled the missed chances in the game and promised that the error will be corrected before the next game. Rivers United will confront Tunisian giant Club Africain in the next match. The Tunisian side defeated APC Lobito of Angola 1-3 in their own game on Sunday. And that is it on sports. I am Emmanuel Fashimi.
And with that sports news update comes the end of Trust TV News Hour. Do not forget to follow us across all our media platforms and our YouTube live stream for more news, programs and documentary. I am Abdurrahman Omar. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.